Hi, this is GraphicallyAlex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today we're going to just go over a few TikToks. Let me move myself over a little bit. We're going to go over a few TikToks and just go through what they're saying, talk about it. We're going in. We're going in raw. Let's go. Okay.
Leave now. That's not about health. That's fat phobia. That's ableism. You don't.
Okay, so let's see what he said. I love your body, but I'm really concerned about your health. So she's immediately saying to leave this partner. I find this to be particularly sick when I think about this movement. These are the kind of things where you begin to wonder if they do mean harm. And I understand that we are supposed to have the benefit of the doubt, at least in online culture. Of course, I don't necessarily. But I honestly wonder, like, if somebody is not concerned about your health, why would that be a good thing? If somebody who you are dating, sleeping with, working towards more serious types of relationships with a person, if they don't care about your health at all, isn't that a red flag? Like, wouldn't that be bad? Isn't that a sign that that this relationship is more than a FETISH for this person? Isn't this a sign of actual love? No, according to her, no. You should just break up with the person, no questions asked, for whatever reason. Let's hear.
Health. That's fat phobia. That's ableism. You don't owe anyone health. Health isn't static. At any point, any able-bodied.
Okay, so I don't know why they don't understand that health issues related to weight are not necessarily 100% under your control, but maybe it's 80% under your control or something like that. It's still mostly in your control. And honestly, even if you have certain genetic factors or you have other things going on, like mental health issues, wouldn't you want to try your hardest to take control over what you can and set yourself up for the best amount of success? If you could somehow prevent yourself from being disabled, wouldn't it be a good thing to prevent it? And that has nothing to do with people who can't prevent it or, were born disabled or whatever. I'm not saying anything about disabled people, but I'm saying, what if you could prevent being disabled? Should you? Do you owe that to people? I don't know. What do they mean when they say you don't owe somebody health? I don't know what you mean by that. Do you owe somebody anything? You know what I mean? Shouldn't you want to be healthy if you love somebody? Shouldn't you take advantage of your opportunities to not be disabled if you have them? Or to have disabilities be mitigated as much as possible, especially in regards to weight? Wouldn't you want to do that? I don't know why they word everything this way. Like, you don't owe somebody this, you don't owe somebody that. I don't think that way. I don't understand this line of thinking. I don't know if I ever did. Maybe I did back in the day. I don't understand it at all anymore, though.
Could become disabled. And if your partner only wants you to be healthy and that's what they're looking for in a relationship.
Okay, so as far as healthy can mean a lot of things, and it can have to do with a lot of different aspects of a relationship. It could have to do with, let's say somebody does want to have children. Is it really mean if they are not with somebody that cannot have children? I guess I guess, but it also isn't. It's a preference, it's a lifestyle choice, it's something that somebody wants, which, to be honest, a lot of people want kids. It's a very common thing to want. So I don't know, like, being healthy enough to have kids, if you're healthy enough to have kids, to want that in a partner, is that really this out of this world concept for you? It doesn't make any sense to me. I doubt that it's only about the person's health. It's also probably about their personality, even how they look. You know, people want to be attracted to the person. It's about values. It's about a lot of different things within a relationship. So why are you reducing it to just health? Obviously, this person liked her. So why are you reducing their whole relationship to one statement, and a loving one at that? And why are you making that out to be a bad thing? Like, are you guys sensing jealousy? Because I kind of am. Are you sensing, I don't have this, I don't want anybody to have it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if this person is single or with somebody, but maybe who they're with. I don't know. I don't know. I just, whenever I watch these kind of things, I start speculating. My mind goes to a lot of different places.
They don't care about you. This video seems to be about...
I don't think you care about her. Like, I don't understand this whole thing with TikTok in general, where they will often say, this person doesn't care about you. It's like, honey, you don't care about me. You're a random person speaking to a camera out of nowhere. Like, if the person that is being responded to in this stitch actually listens to this person, I would question their intelligence. I'm just saying. Because it's very emotionally manipulative. And I get it, like, if you're young, I don't blame people for being young, but it's like, this is emotionally manipulative because you're trying to act like you care as much as this person in that person's life, or you're actually acting as if you care more about that person. And it's in your affect, it's how you're talking, and it's the words that you're saying. You're putting those implications out there, and it's very bizarre to me.
Fat phobia, honestly, which is enough for me to say bye, but this is part of a bigger problem too.
If you realize... Okay. Let's move on. The grief behind realizing that we're not going to be skinny.
That, like, we're not going to be skinny. And, like,
the pain that she is talking about is very, very real. You're never gonna catch my size 18 ass saying I wish I was skinny. I've just done too much work for that. But I do wish that other people weren't fat phobic, like, all the time.
Okay, so it's kind of bizarre to me that their immediate... Okay, if we think about, like, a typical person's experience growing up, you kind of grow up as a young child, you don't have that much of a locus of control. Like, most of your life is provided to you and dictated to you as a child. When you become a teenager, you reach this sort of in-between phase. And then as an adult, you control most of your life. There's this weird thought in fat acceptance TikTok that going backwards in maturity is growth. So in her mind, she thinks that she's done the work because she doesn't want to be thin anymore, but she's upset with what everybody else thinks about her. And she wants to control what everybody else thinks. That is like going backwards into immaturity. And I don't see that as growth. I see that as regression. I see that as you had an issue and you went the exact wrong way. That's what I see. Let's continue.
Phobia isn't just being made fun of or not being able to get a date. It runs so much deeper than that. It's employers assuming that you're lazy.
Okay, so any fat people watching, have you ever been able to get a job? because I've been able to get jobs. I don't know. Do you ever work with fat people? Have you ever seen fat people with jobs? These are huge blanket statements. There's a lot of fat people in the United States. If every single fat person could not get a job, I don't even know what would happen to the economy. It would just be crazy. I don't know what to tell you, girl. I mean, this is just...
And teachers or professors assuming that you're stupid.
Any fatties in the audience, have you guys ever gotten good grades? Have you ever done well academically? I mean, this is just ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like, I did well academically when I was in, like, elementary and high school and stuff like that. I did pretty well, and I was fat the whole way through, and I never was called dumb by a teacher or a professor. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where this comes from. Like, to me, it's a bit of it's kind of like she's putting down people, you know? Like, you're putting down fat people. I think a lot of this movement, they want to hold people down in any way that they can. And a lot of it on TikTok, they use emotion and they try to paint broad brushes across all of society. This is not real.
It's being constantly invalidated and not taken seriously in any setting.
Okay, that might be your personal experience. Like, to be honest, I'm not taking you very seriously either. And I think I'm not doing it because you're making huge, broad generalizations that do not line up to reality whatsoever for the vast majority of people. I have known many fat people in my life that have gotten good grades. I've known many fat people in my life that have been able to get a job fine. I mean, I think maybe she's way over exaggerating it, maybe. But do you see how if you over exaggerate something, you lose credibility and people don't listen to you anymore? So have I seen situations where fat people's efforts haven't been appreciated as much as other people? Yes, I have. Is it a huge, drastic difference? No, it's not. But is it there? Sure. But it's very slight. That's a more realistic interpretation of reality. There can be certain things, but like I said, sometimes it is also because when you are working as a very fat person, especially if the job is physical, you can't do it as well. So people will feel like you're lazy. I don't know if that's fair because it's honestly probably taking twice as much effort for the person to do anything. But at the end of the day, your coworkers and your boss don't really care about you. They're not your family. They don't really care. They just care about the result. And if you can't do it, then they're going to judge you.
We have so much less control over the shape of our bodies than the diet and wellness industry wants us to think we do.
Okay, so I find that very strangely worded. And there's thousands and thousands of examples of people who have lost weight and kept it off. You just don't want to see it. So when I hear that, my mind immediately goes to, oh, this person lost weight, that person lost weight. I see a lot of people online that have lost weight. I know people in my life that have lost weight. And I kind of just go down the list in my head. It's not in your control at all. I've seen my own experience. I've lost 70 pounds of fat since July of 2022. And I'm like, it's not in my control at all. So you're not only speaking of invalidation, you're not only invalidating my experience as somebody who has lost 70 pounds since July of 2022, but you are invalidating many, many others while complaining about being invalidated. It's very bizarre.
That includes thin people. Being thin is not some kind of achievement. You won the genetic lottery.
So I know a lot of people that have been fat that did work to get it off, and I have known thin people that have become fat as they've gotten older. Your weight is very much dependent upon what you eat and certain environmental factors like pollution, for example, does affect your weight. But most of it is the food you're eating and the chemicals on the food and the type of food and that kind of stuff. That's going to be the vast majority of your weight, and also the amount of food, obviously. So it's not actually genetic. This is false. Something that's genetic is like your eye color. It doesn't matter what food you eat, your eye color is not going to change. Your skin color is not going to change because of what you ate, at least not very much. You know, maybe you go, like me, you go from a gray to a gold as you get healthier, but it's still within a certain range for sure. And your eye color, your hair color, your natural hair color is genetic. Your height is much more genetic. Although even your height isn't completely genetic, because if you're malnourished, you'll end up being shorter. So you gotta like understand what you're saying when you say your weight is genetic. Nobody is born obese. I mean, maybe there's some, but you get what I'm saying. The vast majority of people are not born obese. They become obese. Obesity is not born, it's made. Let's continue.
Congratulations. But knowing all of these things does not make it any easier navigating an extremely fat-phobic society.
If society is that fat-phobic, then you would lose the weight. The truth is, weight loss is not that supported in society. When people try to lose weight, their families don't support them. Their friends don't always support them. You know, you get an immediate backlash, and a lot of fat people are people pleasers. And I've told you guys, you cannot lose weight being a people pleaser. You just can't. Because the way our culture is, it is a fat acceptance culture. It's a culture that once you are fat, they do push you to stay fat. I don't know why. It's very bizarre, but it is real. So once you assert yourself and you make it known that you're not fucking around, pardon my French, probably shouldn't have cussed, but whatever. When you make it known that you're not, people will back off. But people do a form of testing when you say you're trying to lose weight. It might even be better to just not tell anybody. That's how caustic society is. So I don't agree with her at all.
You want to see a bait and switch?
Oh God, here we go. So this guy, I forgot his name. The Hidden Channel has been covering him. But this TikTok of his, he is desperate. This is like absolute desperation. This is also hypohaze behavior. So I wanted to show it because I want you guys to know what I mean. And I want to keep showing examples. So this was a perfect example because this was pretty. Okay, let's go. Also, notice the way he acts. So you have to look at the facial expressions. I'm not trying to be shady, but I just have to keep it 100. He is a man, so usually men don't act this way. And I'm not trying to shade and whatever. If you're feminine or gay or whatever, I don't care. I really don't. I mean, it would be really weird if I did care, considering how feminine and gay I am. But I'm just saying, let's continue. It's not usual.
You want to see a bait and switch?
Okay. You see that? Like, it's just weird. So you're already seeing that Like, okay, let me try to like take on his quality. Do you want to see this TikTok? Like, do you see how weird that is? It's giving Karen. It's giving something not normal for a guy. I'm just being honest. And not like in a guy's wearing makeup, it's bad. But no, like, this is really unhealthy already. Let's continue.
Losing weight for your health is not fat phobic. If you think otherwise, you are fucking delusional.
Okay,
So I'm sure that really hurt his feelings, but let's continue.
that's the establishing comment, and I don't necessarily agree with it.
Of course you don't.
I've never heard anyone say that people losing weight specifically for their health was fat.
See, if you look at, like, he's very, very... Just look at his movements. It's very weird to me. I don't know. Like, and again, I'm not a woman, but I am similar to women in the sense that I have that natural, like... If a guy is acting unhinged, it, like, really bothers me to my soul. I don't know what it is, but I know a lot of women feel that way, and it must be a weird glitch in my brain where I feel that same feeling. Because if I was around a man and he was acting like this, it would make me a little nervous. I'd be like, you know, it's kind of weird.
Okay, so that's the establishing comment, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I've never heard anyone say that people losing weight specifically for their health was fat phobic, but if they did, I could understand disagreeing with that stance. But let's see how she goes on.
Okay. It's making me anxious just watching it.
There's a large group of people that actually think.
So I do want you guys to know too, the hypo haze, it does hit men harder as well. So that's something that we need to be well aware of. I think it's because men have more visceral fat. That's just a theory, but visceral fat is more hormonally active. So that's a theory. It's just a film theory, okay? But that is a working theory that I am thinking about, and I probably should research more. But it does affect men more, the emotional effects. Okay, sorry, I'm going to keep going. I'm sorry I keep cutting this off.
There's a large group of people that actually think in their brains that losing
She's acting slightly unhinged herself, but let's continue.
weight intentionally is fat phobic.
It changed. Did you?
Okay, this is grasping at straws here. Look.
Weight for your health. Losing weight intentionally.
Now, I'm not going to make the claim that this was an intentional bait and switch, but it was obviously a bait and switch. She went from people losing weight for their health to people losing weight intentionally. And
Hypohaze. So what is the hypohaze? The hypohaze is extreme black and white thinking. It's a rigidity of mindset where you cannot handle complex concepts. So follow me, you guys. Can somebody lose weight for their health and lose weight intentionally at the same time? Is it almost as if it's necessary to lose weight intentionally for your health in certain cases? He really is not seeing that. Let's watch that again.
to people losing weight intentionally. And these are not the same thing unless you think that weight correlates perfectly with health.
That's not necessarily true at all. You can need to lose some weight because you have too much knee pain. Or you can need to lose weight because you have horrific hypothyroidism like I do. That the weight itself is a counterbalance to thyroid health. I'm sorry if you don't want to acknowledge that, but it's very real. When you are struggling with health issues directly related to your obesity, it is imperative to lose weight intentionally in order to get healthier. Does that make it a perfect correlation? No, it's not. If it was a perfect correlation, then you would be healthier the lower your weight was, and that's not true either. If you lose too much weight, you will develop health problems from losing too much. So it is not a correlation. It is not a perfect correlation. Most people don't see it as a perfect correlation. This is crazy. This is a bit much.
And it doesn't. Claiming that you are losing weight for your health when the evidence doesn't back it up, that is fatphobic, whether you intend it or not.
What evidence? Look, I am all for questioning the system, questioning medical industry, questioning the science. But there is mountains and mountains and mountains of decades of multiple mountains of research showing that being obese is unhealthy. The correct term is it puts you at risk for unhealthy things. It puts you at risk. They can do statistical analyses and see people that are fatter have these health problems. And it has been done over and over and over again, and they can keep redoing it over and over and over again. Can't help it if you don't want to see evidence that contradicts your narrative. Okay, we're going to move on to the last one in this video. Sorry, this is kind of a doozy too, but let's go.
Because it's what we've been taught and it's rarely challenged. But what I'm saying is having a BMI over 30 does not automatically make you unhealthy.
There's a huge difference between having a BMI of 30 and a BMI of 50. Okay, so we're already starting with the comparisons that are just not there. I have told you guys many times, I'm not all for the BMI. Like, I don't think that it's everything. I just think it's something. And I do think the classes of obesity within BMI are very useful. That's pretty much all I think though, because somebody overweight, they can just have a lot of muscle. And that's why overall, I think body fat percentage is best. I think body fat percentage is king over all the other stuff because it takes into account your frame, the amount of muscle you have, the amount of bone you have, you know, everything. It's a much better form of measuring your obesity or your health or whatever. I don't really want to say your health, but how much weight you have, or if you're in a healthy range. Your body fat percentage will tell you that, whether it's too high or too low.
According to the National Health and Nutrition Survey, nearly half of overweight individuals and nearly a third of people with a BMI over 30 are completely free of any cardiometabolic conditions.
It's because in some cases they're young. So you need to look at the youth aspect. And it's also because in some people, it's not that, like if you're barely obese, it's not going to affect you as much. I don't think these people are honest, for one. But for two, they don't acknowledge the gradient. So let me explain it to you, FAs. The bigger you are, the worse it is for your health. Unless if you're too small. If you're too small, too thin, not enough fat on your body, then you will get healthier as you gain until you reach that middle zone. And if you keep gaining, then your health will start to be affected. And the bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger that you get, the worse it is on your health. So if you have a BMI of 30, you may be fine. If you have a BMI of 40, you may be fine for a while. 50, 60, you're not fine. Let's look at a study showing BMI of 60 and how their health problems are. But they don't do that. No, they don't.
In other words, by lumping everybody into these BMI groups, we're misdiagnosing a significant portion of the population.
You also have to acknowledge that many of these studies, they do self-reporting and many people don't know their weight. So you really have to do a study where you weigh the person. I'm just saying.
I know what you're thinking. That still leaves up to 2/3 of those people who are above normal weight with cardiometabolic conditions. But guess what?
Yes, many people in the United States are unhealthy. It goes across the board. But that doesn't mean that being overweight doesn't affect your health. These people don't understand the concept of two things can be true at once. It's really bizarre.
Study, 2/3 of normal weight people were considered cardiometabolically unhealthy too. So what do you think? Should we keep systematically misdiagnosing people as diseased purely based on their body size and literally nothing else?
What you don't understand is that if you have these issues, the weight itself is hormonally active and it is a counterbalance. I will name the hormone. I will name it. It's your thyroid hormone. The type of fat on your body, it creates a counterbalance, primarily through the form of estrogen. Fat is very much involved with estrogen. Estrogen opposes thyroid hormone. If your estrogen is really high, it makes your thyroid hormone weaker in your body. And the bigger you are, the more that effect compounds. So it doesn't matter. Even if you do everything you can. In 2022, I got to a point, I was, 370 something pounds. I got to a point where I reached the zenith of thyroid health, the zenith of health at that size. And I hit a glass ceiling because it doesn't matter how healthy you get. You can only ever be so healthy at a big size. You have to lose it because it's always going to be a counterbalance. Did I die of a heart attack? No, I didn't. Did I get out of a severe health crisis that I didn't know if I was going to make it out of, still being big? Yes, I did. But I could only get to a certain point. And that's what you can't acknowledge. It's not that just because you're thin, you're healthy. It's that being morbidly obese is something against you. It works against your health. It's something that quite literally weighs you down. It pulls down your level of health that you're capable of. And the only way to fix that is to eventually lose the weight. Now, you do have to be healthy enough to lose the weight. So it may take a long time. But you do have to lose the weight or you will hit that glass ceiling. So it doesn't matter. That's what most people realize, but you don't understand it, supposedly.
On the other hand, let's just say that being fat does make you unhealthy.
It does.
So much that
over time. It takes time. It takes time to get sick. It takes time to recover. It's a slow progressing thing. So the longer you're super fat, the more it affects your health. Capiche? Getting it? Okay.
would render somebody disabled. Are you saying that people with disabilities are not entitled to the same basic human rights as you?
That is an insane leap of logic and a connection that doesn't exist whatsoever. Also, obesity is not a disability. Obesity is a symptom of a disease, be it mental or physical. It's a symptom. So, I don't know. I find it very strange to say how healthy people are at a BMI of 30 and now you're calling everybody obese disabled. It's just such a crazy leap.
Saying that they should continue facing discrimination at the doctor, in public transportation, in the job market, and access to housing?
Okay, so you will listen to studies that say all this, but you won't listen to studies that say that being overweight is unhealthy. So what is your criteria for what study you believe and what one you don't? I'd love to hear that.
You say that accepting people with a BMI over 30 is wrong, but what do you suggest we do about it? Should we publicly?
It's not the people. You don't understand that the majority of people that have a logical function in their brain and at least two brain cells to rub together, they understand that obesity is not the person. Obesity is just a condition like pregnancy. It's like you're saying it'd be like saying if you don't accept pregnancy, then you hate all women or something. It's like, yes, I understand. It would be weird because pregnancy is perfectly fine and healthy. But pregnancy is not womanhood. Obesity is not a person. Obesity isn't human. Obesity is a condition of a human. So if you don't accept obesity, that doesn't mean you don't accept the person. It means you don't accept the condition, which obesity, unlike pregnancy, is unhealthy. It's really horrible for you in many, 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 many ways. So that's what you're not understanding. Now, a lot of fat people, they do identify with their fatness. It's not healthy. I will tell you, it is extremely unhealthy to identify with your fatness. You should not do that. That is not okay. That's ED behavior. That's, in my opinion, it's more related to BED. Like it isn't good. It's not good. Okay, let's continue.
Shame them and further stigmatize body fat, because that's what we've been doing for decades and it has not worked.
I think just start by not lying to fat people. I think that would really help. And that goes to both sides of this debate. Not lying to fat people would really help the situation across the board. You are perpetuating lies. You're actually making even worse lies than are already out there. So you are not helping. I think what we need to do is just educate people. I'm trying to show the process online just so people can know. People already don't want to be fat. You don't necessarily have to shame somebody into it. You're not going to get every single person in the world to lose weight. You don't have to. All I want is for people who want to lose weight to be able to do it. So I'm trying to show you it can be done. And I'm trying to cover the negatives of weight loss, the challenges that are unique to somebody of a big size, and everything else. So that's what we're trying to do here. This is something that I believe would help. Because I agree that just shaming and this and that, it hasn't helped. But just because you need to do something differently doesn't mean that you give up entirely. I thought you were progressive. Isn't progressive supposed to have a different idea or something? Let's continue.
Alone is an independent factor for high blood pressure, chronic inflammation, stress markers, A1C, metabolic syndrome, depression, anxiety, type 2 diabetes, and an increased risk of mortality. Being fat does not make someone unhealthy.
Massive citation needed. Experience does not prove that. And if that's true, I almost want to challenge him to gain weight and see for himself. But that's evil. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So I won't wish it on him. In fact, I'd say the opposite. Run the other way. Don't ever be obese. Don't ever be fat. Don't do it if you can avoid it. Don't. If you're in it, we're going to figure it out, okay? But, oh, man. It's easy for you to say. That's what I'll say. That's all I'll say. It's easy for you to say it doesn't make someone unhealthy.
Systematic anti-fat bias and weight discrimination does.
Okay, you guys, that's the end. Honestly, you could put a fat person in a padded room and they could never have contact with the outside world and they would still have health problems. You could. Anyways, you guys, they're setting up an impossible standard that can never be reached just so they can continually bitch and make money off of it. And, it's actually, I think it's a money-making scheme mostly, but it's also a justification. One of my commenters pointed out in my last video that a lot of what they do, it's because they feel bad about themselves and they want everybody else. I guess it's easier to change everybody else than themselves. That's actually untrue, but that's, things get a little hazy when you're really big. So anyways, you guys, I love y'all. Let's talk again soon. I hope you enjoyed this. I know I wasn't as fire and brimstone as I was with the jock scientist, but the jock scientist, she really irritates me. You know, like there are certain of them, like there are certain fact acceptance people that I really, really cannot stand, and she is one of them. These people, it wasn't like that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know your comments. Let's have a conversation. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.